Welcome back to Not Alone with Melissa Sue. I want to thank you. I'm so grateful and honored that you're here today. If you could just pause, like, and subscribe here today, this will help me get this information globally. I do feel called on a global shift to help the industry, the dental industry, to shift more biological way. And today's guest will share her dental story and bring awareness and hopefully nudge you to start asking more questions because education is power. So today I'm excited to welcome Marissa Maggio Herelson. Hopefully I said that correctly, Marissa. Marissa is a wellness and lifestyle entrepreneur, health advocate, mentor, and what many lovingly know as the yoga mama. With a background in television journalism, covering health and medical breakthroughs, she has spent years helping others better understand their body's incredible ability to heal and thrive. More than 14 years ago, her passion for health led her into the world of nutrigenomics and cellular wellness, where she discovered the power of supporting the body's natural ability to activate and express its healthiest genetic potential. Today, as an executive leader, educator, and mentor, Marissa helps people build not only successful businesses, but live filled with purpose, vitality, and alignment. Her message today with her dental story, from root canals to cavitations, in the process that she had to go through. And this is where we're hoping that all those little signs that she had can maybe little signs that you can start listening to your body and know where to go. Be a resource. Let us be that resource, that first step. What do I do now? I'm having these symptoms, and where it could be correlated to your mouth. That's why I have her on today, which is such an honor because I know your story will start planting that seed in somebody else.
Yes, Melissa, thank you
Yes.
so much for having me. And thank you for all the beautiful work that you do.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think just like you now sharing your story, it's in hopes that somebody else doesn't have to live through all these, illnesses and the symptoms and know the root cause. So I'd love for you to kind of share your story and how all these symptoms started happening. These little whispers is what I call them.
Yeah, the body whispers before it starts screaming, right? And literally, I probably wouldn't have done anything still today had I not read a book that I didn't bring today, but I'm going to talk about it. It's AIM by Dr. David Porter, who's a biological dentist. AIM meaning airways, infections, and metals. So a friend gifted me that book a couple of years ago, and I sat on it. I didn't read it yet. I had heard about biological dentistry. It sounded great, but I was going to a regular dentist and getting my teeth cleaned, and he took pictures of my teeth, and I said, I have root canals. I got in my 20s. I had a bad run while I was a college student and didn't take good care of, go to the dentist like I was supposed to during those years. So I paid for it. And I didn't know when they said, oh, you need a root canal. I'm like, really? Okay. And I didn't understand what a root canal was. I'm 21 years old. So I said, okay. And they did it. Well, that caused a lot of problems over the years. I had to have another thing called an apicoectomy where they have to go in from the bottom up and do the root canal. I had an infection. So for a few years I had a run, but then whatever they did, it's fine. I left.
Can you tell me where in the mouth? Like which side? Was it the lower?
It's my bottom left, and it was one tooth. I can't remember the number. It's in the back.
No, but it's okay. I was just curious because each tooth is connected to an organ. So,
I'll tell you those organs.
Yes.
I do know. I think it was and then this one up here, the upper right, which the number that normal dentists have is different than a biological dentist, right? As far as the organs, what number they're connected to. But I think it was 17 and 18. All I know is one was connected to the colon and one was connected to the pancreas.
Okay.
And boy, did I have a change in my digestion and in my A1C. I am a healthy person. I live a healthy lifestyle. It's my business. I teach yoga, breath work, meditation, Kriya yoga, sound healing. Former television news journalist, had a health beat. I mean, I've always been into health and wellness, and I have a health and wellness business. And it was really because of that business that I was connected to this doctor, because he was involved in our company, is involved. And I basically read his book, and I went to my normal dentist, and I'll get back to the pancreas and the colon later. But I started noticing things started changing. So I ended up reading his book, and I went, okay, I'm going to go to my dentist. Took x-rays, nothing. A normal x-ray didn't show anything. He goes, you're fine. I go, I read this book. Should I get these out? And he goes, Marissa, it's going to cost you a lot more. It's more headache to do that than it is to just keep them. If it's not broke, basically don't fix it. I'm like, okay. Until I read the book. And so then I went to a biological dentist in Scottsdale, and he did the panoramic and noticed
the CBCT scan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And noticed there was infection. Mm-hmm. Didn't quite catch the 3 out of 4 cavitations I had from wisdom teeth. Dr. Porter did in Wyoming. He has an office in Sturgis, South Dakota, and in Gillette, Wyoming. Yes, I travel for this.
A lot of people have to travel now, because even for me, people are like, who do you recommend? I'm really picky, just like you, because they're not all
alike. So I canceled my surgery 2 days before surgery in Scottsdale, Arizona. Much more convenient to be in Scottsdale to have this surgery done. Number one, I found, so I'm on a cruise in August in Alaska, and I'm talking to someone about what I'm getting ready to do that following Monday. And they said, Marissa, you got to talk to Dr. Porter, before you do this. Just talk to him. I was like, okay. So we were at sea the next day. I made a call. I texted him, and he responded on a Friday. And I was like, okay, I'm getting this surgery on Monday. I have some questions. I'm feeling ill at ease. I was not at ease in my gut. And that's the first thing he said. If you're not at ease, you need to find out why, because you don't want to go into a surgery
Not trusting.
Right?
Not trusting, yeah.
So I called him. He spent almost an hour with me. He was talking to a patient. I think his Fridays are for follow-ups and things like that. He doesn't see patients that day. So we talked on the phone in my cabin. My husband was listening to everything. And I'm going, oh my gosh. So I was writing a checklist. He said, I'm not telling you not to have the surgery. I'm telling you, these are the questions you need to be asking. So I called the dentist after I got off the phone with Dr. Porter. And I said, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And he didn't even have the highest grade ceramic that they use, which if you're talking about your mouth, which is the the pathway to your health and longevity, you should be using the best. And yes. He, and this can be debatable, but he was just going to give me a pill to calm me down. I was out for 6.5 hours with Dr. Porter. There was so much in there that was diseased. There was so much, I think the word's necrosis. Mm-hmm. My jawbones were like putty.
Wow.
I had no idea. My infections were so severe. He saw 3 out of 4 cavitations. He was not able to do the implants at the time of surgery, but I canceled this surgery with this dentist. He was not happy. But this is my life.
Yes.
And I had no idea. That conversation on that ship that night, I think really saved my longevity. I really do.
Oh, I feel it. Ooh,
yeah.
I feel it. Yeah,
I know.
Little angel, right?
And Dr. Porter's like this teddy bear. You know, he's just, he's a father of 6. He's a naturopath as well. So he was a dentist, a normal general dentist, and then he saw what was happening in the world, and he saw the science that was starting to come out about root canals not being good for you. And I had 2. And the American Heart Association, I actually saw this study that says you're high risk for heart attack. Yes. And then there's chances of dementia and all of these things because the teeth are connected also to your brain. Oh, yes. There's a blood flow. And I think, and I don't want to poo-poo general dentistry because they get into the business, these dentists, to help people. But there's so much that we are conditioned, or modern medicine is conditioned to, that they haven't been able to evolve like we need to be evolving, and there's a health revolution happening.
Oh, yes.
And
there's a big shift right now.
And there's a big shift
Yes.
because we're natural beings and we want to keep the most natural things in us. We don't want metals in our mouth. And I know root canals aren't metals, but the way root canals are, it's just dead tissue.
Yes. Yes. I'm leaving something dead in the mouth. So it harbors all the bacteria. I just had Dr. Gandhi on from New York, and he showed me pictures of pulling out parasites, that is in the jaw, and he does a lot of the cavitations, and what he sees, like what you said, the necrosis, that harbors those bacterias in there, and maybe your fatigue, your brain fog that you're saying, well, it's just part of aging, could be from infection in the bone or from a root canal.
And so many people think, it's just part of getting older. You've got this happening and this happening. It's just a shift in aging. And I'm like, no, I don't believe that, because I take really good care of myself. And even Dr. Porter said, Marissa, your recovery has been amazing. And I know that the products I take too also activate my body to reduce that inflammation, to improve my cellular health. There's many
and
things.
you do a lot of nervous system work,
and
obviously
I do a
from
lot
yoga,
of nervous
from
system.
breath work, that also puts you in that rest and repair state, right?
Yes. And that's one of the things Dr. Porter talked about, is the rest and digest is really, really important. He also has a superhuman protocol room in his office or in his clinic. It's a room that's got red light therapy, PEMF,
I love that.
Ozone saunas, oxygen, pure oxygen while you're on a bike exercising. I was doing that the day after surgery.
Wow.
So
because you want oxygen to heal the tissues,
yes,
right?
and a
quality
biocharger.
oxygen.
I'm getting the day of surgery, I'm in the biocharger, the day before, the day after. So all of these things we're natural beings and taking those frequencies from the earth as well. And people think this is woo-woo.
Oh yeah, no, it's not. There's science all behind it,
And I'm telling you, I am so grateful because literally, this has been a journey. So August of 2025, I went for a consult. Through that consult, I found out I had severe sleep apnea. I'm like, Scott, my husband, why you don't complain that I snore? He's like, oh, it's just a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been married almost 28 years. So he's a sweetheart, but this is my life. So
Yes.
I didn't realize that I started crying with Dr. Porter. He was showing me on like my airways and how narrow my airway is, and that my tongue, the shape of your tongue, also has everything to do with how you breathe and how you sleep. And I have a scalloped tongue. Apparently, when I sleep, it goes back. And so when you have a small airway, you're not getting the oxygen that you need. I stopped breathing 58 times in one night.
Wow.
So there are things you can do outside of a CPAP, which you don't really want to have unless you really have to have it, right? There's some things about all that. I won't get into that one. But a mouthpiece will be something I have. My husband has mild sleep apnea. He did the sleep test with him, and he's wearing the mouthpiece that they made for him, and it's improved so much.
Oh, yeah, it's important to look at airway. I've gone down that road with my son and had a lot of airway. Dentists talk about, some of the checks that you need to do. It all starts with a CBCT scan. It'll show you the quality of oxygen that you're taking on.
Isn't it amazing?
And a sleep study, of course.
So I'm so happy I learned about this, and I'm happy, our mouth health begins at birth. Whether you're breastfed, whether you're bottle fed, I was bottle fed. I was the youngest of 5. I mean, I'm, an older person, and my mom was probably sick of it at 5, the 5th child.
Right.
So anyway, this is my
your
path.
birth story matters even for your gut and even your toxic load. That's epigenetic. So yes, it all starts.
It all starts at birth. And it's never too late to biohack your health. It's never too late to take charge. So as August, I go in for the consult. October was my surgery. That was a 6.5-hour procedure, and that took its toll on me. Anesthesia gives you amnesia.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So, and anesthesia, it takes time to get out of your system, and I could definitely feel a little bit different, but what was he going to do, And I can't even imagine, had I gone to this other biological dentists, learning that not all biological dentists are the same. You really want to see what their certifications are and their trainings are. That's really important.
Yes, yes. I actually asked that question with Dr. Gandhi, and he said he did a course with Dr. Dom. He's out of Germany.
Yes, I think Dr. Porter did too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's a certification that dentists can take if they're really interested to really learn all aspects of what is a biological dentist.
So that procedure, that's one heck of a thing. It's a commitment. Like you're committing, I'm committing. So I've had, this removed and 3 out of 4 cavitations from wisdom teeth, which is something I had no clue
Yeah, people don't even know now. That's why we're saying more of like you keep them. If you can, it's more beneficial. We're finding that actually wisdom teeth are connected to your immune system. So it's actually beneficial to have them. And of course, it was always, for me as a hygienist, we were taught, well, patients have a hard time cleaning them, so better to take them out. That was really kind of the reason, or depending on the, jaw size and everything. Right. But primarily it was because patients had a hard time keeping them clean. But now we're finding that it's beneficial to keep them, especially to widen. You don't want narrow mouth. That affects your airway.
Well, and that's me. I have a narrow mouth and I have a narrow passageway, and I had all 4 wisdom teeth taken out because that's what we were told to do.
Yes.
And so we just did it. We trusted what we were being told back then. But this is literally why we have to be smart and educate ourselves and just know that, my husband still has his wisdom teeth. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So 3 out of 4, when I say cavitation, they go, what is that? It means holes in your jawbone that have decayed because they used to pull them out and not replenish them with whatever they do today, and ozone and all the
ozone
minerals
with the oxygen, and then they'll do IVs oftentimes with different minerals. Yeah, there's a whole process even prior to surgery, where they put you on the detox because a lot of things are going to come out, right? Heavy metals, parasites. So you've got to prep your body.
Yes, you have to prep your body. So I did some prepping. I flunked a burp test that he had me do, like take baking soda and water before. This was way before the procedure. Okay. And I'm like, he goes, you should, how many times did you burp in a minute? And after 3 minutes of drinking this, I said, I never did. And that was my gut being off, and I had no idea. And then it started making sense because my digestion started changing, about a year before all of this. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get really, this
is
this is it.
Dive in, yeah.
But I've always been regular, and all of a sudden things were not looking good. And I'm like, what the heck is it? I'm eating still healthy. I'm, all the things. Well, this is the body whispering before it's screaming. Then I had a melanoma cut out of my chest last June 10th, actually a year ago. Superficial, thank God. For 4 years, I've been going to the dermatologist and ask about this, and they would just freeze it off, and it would come back, and nobody. And so this last time I took charge, I went to a different dermatologist, and the first year he just froze it, and the second year, so this has been there for a while. It would look like a weird freckle. And
but you trust in your intuition. That's so what I try and teach people. You get second opinion. There's something there.
There's something there, and I'm very fair skinned. So, when they said the M word, I was like, what? And I got immediately in within days to have it cut out with one of the top plastic surgeons here in Arizona, and it was superficial, thank God. And I get checked every 4 months, but I also had about a month later a squamous removed from here. And I go back every 4 months. Everything's been good since I've gotten. So I'm equating this. It's not coincidental. There's something that the body is reacting to because it's screaming inside. And I'm just so happy I got on top of it. I wish I would have.
Those were the signs. It's like, oh, there's something inside me. So come check. I'm going to keep giving you these signs, but oftentimes we're sharing these stories because you don't want them to be, like you said, thank God they took it out and that was it. Right.
Right. And I'm just, I'm being very protective of my skin now. I'm always covered up, like we're going to Italy later in the month, and I'm going to I have to cover myself, but that's fine. So these were the things I'm going, okay, I live in Arizona, I'm fair skinned, and anybody can get that. But when I started really understanding that in most infections, most people have root canals. And then I had heard about breast cancer. I never had breast cancer, but those who have, there are many, and I've heard the percentage be 90%, but I don't know if that's accurate, that 90% of women with breast cancer have root canals. I don't know if that's an accurate statistic, but I've actually seen some papers on it, clinical papers, and on the same side as the root canal.
I've heard that from Dr. Michelle Jorgensen. She had mentioned a lot of her patients who had breast cancer had infection, but of course not everybody that had breast cancer will have an infection in the mouth.
Exactly.
Because I also believe that disease is deep-rooted in emotional suppression at times as well, right?
Yes.
And what manifests itself. But there's a high correlation. There's a very high correlation with the mouth and breast cancer. Yes.
Yeah.
I believe it.
So the process here now has been, they're out and I was healing. The bone was so much like putty that they couldn't put the implants in. Wow. So I had to have bone grafts. And then I went back in just a week and a half ago, and had the surgery for the implant. So I have 2 implants here and a temporary bridge up here. Decided not to do the implant up here because they would have to do another bone graft. While it was healing, it's thinner bone up top. They were going to have to lift up my sinus.
Yeah, so close to the sinus
And I'm like,
cavity.
forget it. At this stage of my life, I was like, I don't need, I had a bridge here. This was a bridge. So,
and to clarify too, when you talk about implants, we're not talking about titanium implants or metal implants.
Ceramic.
Like ceramic is what you want, and the good quality of material.
Right. I think it's
ceramic.
Zirconium or something like that.
Yes. So that makes a difference. Why? Because again, it's a material, a foreign material in your mouth. So how is your body going to react to that material? So we all know metal is highly reactive.
Highly reactive.
And then it's like a reactive beam for EMFs, and so it just causes more inflammation. It just triggers an immune response.
Right. And I know that there are people that have metal plates in their body and I don't know what the solutions are for that right now at this stage of what we know, in medicine. But we do know with dentistry that metals in our mouth are not good. And then you're going to be stopping that energy flow to the brain, which doesn't make sense either. And I need as much brain power as I can possibly get, right? So I just think I'm just so grateful that I know about this. So now I'm in the healing stage. I wear a retainer. I have to wear that. I took it off for this interview. But I wear a retainer all the time and when I'm eating, and that's fine. And then I go back even next week to get the checkup, to get the permanent bridge on. I'm going to get fitted for Invisalign. I figure I might as well go the whole gamut.
I mean, and this is, I know a lot of people are thinking about what you're sharing. They're like, oh my gosh, this would cost so much, right?
Yes.
Of course, and it does. But this is where it's like, well, it's your life, right? It's also how, if you didn't do any of that and you were already getting all these symptoms, 10 years down the road.
What would the cost be?
Yeah, what would the cost be, right?
Cost prohibitive. Mm-hmm. You hear of people, their last 6 months of life spend all their savings, many of them that are sick, right? All of their savings go to medicine and to the hospital bills and stuff. And I'm not signed up for that. That's not in my DNA. Mm-hmm. And this to me, and money is energy. We can always make money. There's an abundant flow of money. And yes, it took a chunk, but it is my life. And I'm so grateful. This is money well spent. I feel really good about it. I trust this man, of course. I put my life in his hands, my longevity for sure in his hands. And I know that the rest is just going to be a beautiful journey. Yeah. And
now it's almost, you're a gift now by sharing, having your voice, your journalism background, well-spoken, and can share this story, because someone could just start having those whispers now, or maybe start asking questions. Go to your general dentist, say, hey, I've had these root canals for a long time. Do you provide a CBCT scan? Or can we look into, cavitations, look at the wisdom teeth, give the patients the knowledge and the questions.
Instead of no, it's that's going to be cost prohibitive for you. And it's going to be, you're going to go down another road that you don't want to go down.
Yes. I've had so many patients where I set them up, a biological dentist. I'm like, just go there. Oh, well, my insurance doesn't cover. I was like, are you going to put it? Please don't give that power away to your insurance for your health. Right. And but I get it. There's that financial thing, but it's your health. And oftentimes it spirals in so much, like cardiac arrest. Somebody has an infection in a tooth that's connected to your heart organ. That's going to affect them. I see that all the time, of where you hear people dying of a heart attack. They were healthy, they were runners, they were all this stuff, no other signs. I'm like, I'm so curious to see their mouth.
To see if they had a root canal. And that question needs to be asked all the time. Yes. It needs to be part of the medical surveys when you're going in for your physical, and they have you check this, and this.
Where they bridge together, like
where they bridge together, because the mouth is not separate. Yes. It is, and I think, the way I grew up and the way I saw dentistry was that it was a very different component to the rest of the body, and it's not. We are all one system. We are not a separated system. The heart is not separated from the gut. The brain is not separated from the gut. And the mouth for sure is not separated. We're all one system. And if this is off, everything's going to get off. Yeah. If the gut's off, the brain's off, the immune system's off. I mean, we're all...
your gut shows up in your mouth. Your gut microbiome, we'll see it in your oral biome. Yes. That's why we got to do the tests in the mouth, the gut as well. And if you don't fix the gut, but we were working on one side of the mouth, it's still going to keep infecting that side.
And this is another thing I think people need to really watch out for, is that they'll go, oh, I have an implant and it's titanium. And you don't want that. And sometimes now people are learning about it that have the titanium, and that's kind of a bummer, right? Yeah. Because they've spent a heck of a lot of money on doing that. Yes. And then all of a sudden they're thinking about this. And I don't want to scare people that I know, but it's really hard for me not to share this.
I know. I'm the same way. Yeah.
And people are asking me, I teach yoga, and they're asking me how my mouth is. They've seen my journey this last, 9 months or so. And, I'm just not going to be quiet about it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, I feel the same way. In the beginning, I'd start talking about it. I'd have a lot of dentists on, and I get a little bit, sometimes some whiplash from dental. But I was like, you know what? No, you can't unsee the truth. Once you see it, and once I have more and more biological dentists, and they're sharing, and you are sharing your story, and there's not random that we got connected.
I know.
And last year I go for a hike with a friend of mine from Canada, and she tells me, oh my gosh, I had a heart attack and I had this root canal. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I said, didn't your doctors correlate that with that? No, they never did. I said, that's your root canal.
Wow.
And now she has a stent in her heart, because of it. And she was only 42. So it's bringing that awareness. I'm not going to be quiet about it anymore. And because now I have the top of experts, and I have examples, right? Yeah. Patients are speaking up now, their own story. And you've been blessed that you've trusted. You're so intuitive because you do the work. You're in that realm, right? The yoga, breath work. So you are learning to listen to your body, and then these little angels directed you to the right people. And I often do that too. Whenever I'm looking for example, lately I've been looking for another emotional release therapist for my family, for my kids, because there's still some deep, rooted emotional. And I know that disease and affects the immune system, right? The little bully inside. So I pray on it, and oh my gosh, within weeks I start reading this book, and they talk about this therapist, and I'm like, and she's in Arizona. I was like, hey, who was that you work with? And we started working with her this week. And then another friend who's a health, a healer expert, she's like, oh, I have a speaking engagement in June and I'm coming. I said, I'll be working on your family. Fantastic. Sometimes it's also asking for help. You can't do it alone, and who to trust, right?
Right. Exactly.
Like you said, I love now, use me as a resource. I know the top of biological dentists now, yes. From Dr. Porter now, I could, from your story, I can feel good about sending somebody there.
Yes.
I have Dr. Gandhi that we had a podcast earlier today. I know I could direct them to them safely. I know Dr. Here locally, I have Dr. DeSanti and Dr. Shreve. I know because I've worked with them in their office. I see day to day what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
I trust what you say.
Yeah.
And I actually eventually, I'm going to need a local biological
Okay,
dentist.
yeah,
Because I'm not
they're
going to be able to go to
fantastic.
Dr. Porter for a cleaning.
Yeah, no. And they are, again, using all the protocols. And in fact, even they understand the nervous system. They do cranial adjustments. And so
Wow, beautiful.
it's a deep rooted, you got to understand the gut, that we do oral biome tests. So it's all connected. And I think the industry is shifting. Actually, I'm going to be part of the next, the documentary that they're doing is Buy Old Dentistry. And that's who I met. Old dentistry, like goodbye old. Yeah.
I love
like
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Who
know.
thought of that name?
Well,
I love it.
I ended up invited for Shield, which is a documentary for empowering women for their health and what's affecting our hormones and how we're treated as men. And so when I was invited by Anthony and Teresa to come to Cons for the premiere and the film, and then they showed me their next documentary about dentistry. I said, oh my gosh, I have to be there. This is where my calling. So I go there and end up meeting all of these biological dentists globally from all over the world. And so, yes, use me as a resource at this point, you know?
Absolutely.
And because it's just like not every doctor is going to treat you the same. It's going to be check the box, treat the symptom. And I know how that spirals in the system. My husband was sent in the system. Well, what ended up being addiction to opioids and then alcohol. And then it was just never getting to the root cause of his ailments. And that's sad. And I know so many people are getting lost in the system. But there's enough resources out there. We got to be open to, this is not going to be the status quo. Not everybody's doing that right now, but there will be a shift, right? You got to be open to doing something maybe, out of the box,
Something I've always been that person. Outside the box.
Outside the box. That's me too, from a very young age.
Outside the box. And that's okay. That's kind of being a trailblazer. And it works. One of the things I was going to say when we say not all biological dentists are the same, this was a learning lesson for me. This is a huge learning lesson. And most people will not take the responsibility or make the effort to educate themselves like this. And one of the things, he was going to do a human bone graft on me just automatically. Now I realize that is something that maybe need to be happening for people, but you don't really want to have that somebody else's DNA in your body if you don't need it, right? Because what if there is an autoimmune response to it? What if you have side effects? So Dr. Porter was not a fan of that. And he had asked me, what is he going to use? And I actually didn't know. And I think that is the big takeaway is I was just trusting a biological dentist and saying whatever he can do is going to happen and it will be fine. And then when I started, he said, there's other options and this is why. And these work really well, So when you're using the minerals and all the other nutrients and the collagen, whatever they do to mix up all the stuff to make your bones strong, that sounds better than putting somebody's DNA into my bone. What are your thoughts about all that?
Yes, I don't know actually what they're using right now as much, for bone graft, and that's a great question. I'm actually fascinated as to what they prefer and what's that'll be my next questions.
Yeah.
So
Talk to Dr. Porter about that because his response was enough for me to go, yeah.
Okay. I don't know enough about it. It hasn't come up in my conversations, but now it will.
Yeah.
Because I want to know more, be well-versed in it and understand the options too.
Right.
So if somebody's in that situation.
I would rather my body be the one that's healing and allow that to happen and get stronger that way. And so, so this is the journey.
Yeah,
and
I love this journey.
I think I have another year. So in 4 months, I'll get the other ones on, the tops of the ceramic. And then I'll spend probably a year on Invisalign.
Wow.
I was expanding my palate too.
Yes. That's what
And
my son is doing.
I got
Yeah.
tired of wearing those expanders. They are really hard. Oh my goodness. These
Yeah, my
kids that
son
do
is
it.
wearing expanders. Yeah, and he's got a face mask too. He wears at night. Yeah, to help. And we're getting there. It is a process, and it is much harder to do the older that you are, and that's why we're advocating to be aware of that now. Start now. Even you notice your kids snoring. You notice your kids. Just having a hard time always breathing through the mouth, right? So start young so you can advocate for that and ask more questions. Like, what would you recommend now for patients that, okay, they're listening to your story and they want to feel the courage to start asking the questions. They love their dentist. They want to maybe,
Right.
I'm all about supply and demand. What if more patients are asking their general GP, to provide this treatment, maybe more of them are going to be like, okay, I want to learn more about biological dentistry. How can I provide that for my patients? So I encourage patients to start asking more questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if it's a red flag, if the dentist reacts and doesn't want to answer it and gets really angry like that right there, I'd be like, well.
Well, and I think, my dentist actually, was just, don't do anything, Marissa. Don't fix it. And you're fine. The way it is. See, I looked at the x-ray, the normal x-ray doesn't show it.
Mhm.
So it's like, do you want to learn? Do you want to evolve? Medicine is evolving. Science evolves.
Yeah.
So they have to do certifications, right? They have to stay in the know, you would hope. And their heart and soul is they love what they do. They're helping people and they believe that. But I think there's dentists that are learning, and then there's the emotional component to that because they've spent a lot of money in dental school.
Yes, our identity. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And they're paying off loans for years, probably. And now they're hearing about what? I've been told to do it this way, but now I'm hearing this way. I haven't gone there, we're going to be in London in the beginning of July. And I may go if we have time to the dental museum. And I heard that the dental museum in London is like a torture chamber.
Oh, wow.
Like, can you imagine back in the 1800s or even early 1900s, what they were doing?
Oh, I've seen pictures. Yeah, the old dental chairs and the tools. And
it's evolved, right? We've evolved. We've evolved
so
over the years.
Let's keep up with that. And don't wait till right now. Some people are like, well, the ADA and all this stuff, they're still saying, fluoride is good and all this stuff. I was like, okay, are you going to wait till it takes a while for those systems to change? Think of our educational system, our medical. So how we can start that now? Start with your own dental practice. You can see the proof. And I know a lot of them are probably starting to see a lot of their patients that are not healing still with root canals. You see the truth. I know I did in our dental practice. My husband did root canals all the time. And I'd have patients go, it still hurts. Infection's still there. It's never going away. And my husband would be so frustrated because he was very good at it. He prided himself at being excellent at root canals. And now I'm like, I think you start seeing the truth. It's like planting those little seeds for them. And
did he start learning about biological dentistry?
No, we were definitely very, when it came, I always wanted to be like into naturopath. He's the one who was like, oh, nobody's going to do that here. We lived in Wasilla, Alaska. And when you do going in a dental field, and that's okay. But I've always been interested. I've always were more on that side. We were so opposite when it came to that. I would have patients in my chair going, I don't want to have fluoride. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. But don't tell my husband.
Right.
I was always that we clashed when it came to that with pharmaceuticals. When I would bring up like, hey, I'm not seeing these beneficial for you right now. There's a lot of side effects and you're losing the control of these opiates. I get it. There's a lot of pain, but why is the pain there? Why is it so crippling? Right? And we need to get to the root cause. So we definitely didn't align when it came to that, that his openness to, and I think it's because they're so indoctrinated, at school to believe that that's the system. That is it. Right. And it's hard sometimes to reprogram yourself to think in a different way and be more open-minded. But I think more that you see the truth, or maybe from a lot of the dentists I've had on, until it happens to you or a close family friend, then you can't unsee it, right?
Right.
When it impacts them, you personalize it. So
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's,
And I want to bring up also the aftercare is super important, right? When you go through something as major as this, some people don't even associate with your mouth being major. It is major,
oh yes.
right? So the aftercare, just from what they give you to do, and the mouthwashes and the ointments or the gels and just the cleaning, being careful and all of that is, I take his supplements as well, from like these little beaded, they're patented, almost like omegas, but they're for dental health, right? Nitrous oxide I've been
Yes, that's a big
on.
one. Yes.
I've had some natural healers help me with getting on ozone pills and, oh gosh, there's a lot. And then I take cellular activators. So he actually is like, Marissa, you need the collagen. So I'm activating my collagen. It's key because it lines your bones, it lines your tissues, it lines your guts. So my healing has been amazing. I'm really happy about it because I'm not a spring chicken. I'm in my mid 60s, you guys. So,
So you're saying with the cellular help.
the cellular health. I'm
Yeah.
reducing my oxidative stress by taking my activator, my little yellow pill I take every day of 5 plants. I'm boosting my mitochondria, the engine of the cell. I'm activating NAD. I'm taking collagen. These are things that our body needs. I'm activating my body's own mechanisms. I'm not just supplementing. I am supplementing because supplements fill a void, but I'm also activating what God gave me. I'm activating my own pathways in my body, and that's very, very important. So, and then I'm exercising right now. I've been off a little bit since the surgery because I know that I don't need to be grinding it out. So
Yes.
that kind of feels hard
All right.
to not do that. But I taught yoga this week, so I did move, but I hadn't gone back to the gym yet. So I've got to do that. And I'm looking forward to getting back there because bone health is also very important, especially when you're older, muscle tone and bone health. So, it's not just getting things out and saying, okay, it's gone. You have to eat right. You have to have proper nutrition. If you drink, it's got to be moderate. You can't be just like doing that all the time. A lot of water, hydrating, good thoughts. I meditate, prayer, all those things are really, really important because they change the biology of your body. They help that whole sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, that vagus nerve. I mean, this is all part of healing in general, right? That
Yes.
vagus nerve that runs from the brain all the way down through our heart, through our body. It's our whole nervous system. If our nervous system is crazy and chaotic after we've done all this, it's going to make healing harder.
Oh, it's going to slow it down. It constricts the blood vessel. It constricts the oxygen flow to the tissues. So I'm so glad you bring that because you got to blend all of that.
You got to blend it all. It's a process, and I'm so grateful that I am aware of this to implement into my life. There are a lot of people, I would say we're in the different 5%. There are a lot of people out there that don't do all of those things and they run on empty, even after surgery. Then they go back at it and you just have to find a way to replenish and nourish. And that means if it's a walk around your block with your dog and doing that, do that, but be mindful about it. Don't be on your phone. Right? Unless you're listening to this podcast.
I like that. I love that. Well, yeah, there's so many benefits. So look how youthful you look, right?
Thank you.
There's so much life to still live for you, and how do you want to live it? And you're glowing, and you're so full of life, and you're gifting that back to people too with your yoga and all your skills. And I know you're part of a health business as well, right?
Yes.
Like, what is it called again?
It's called Life Vantage.
Okay.
And I've been with this company 14 years, and I love it. We are pioneers of the science of wellness care in the realm of nutrigenomics. What is that? Nutrition for your genes, nutrigenomics. So the science is there, clinical peer-reviewed, published studies on PubMed. We were a biotech company at one point in time out of the University of Colorado. And I was introduced to it at yoga. So I always just feel like everything aligned.
Yes.
This is what God's work is that, I want to live long. I want to have fun. And I want to also be able to do what I want to do in my life. So the main product is called Protandim, and it's a little yellow pill of 5 plants. And it's not even about the 5 plants. It's the synergy of the 5 plants, the composition that activates the most important anti-aging pathway in our human body. And that's called NRF2. And it's the master regulator of the cell. So bottom line is it's reducing the root cause of aging. People don't know what the words oxidative stress are. You do because you're in the medical field. But most people you can ask what's oxidative stress, or I've heard of free radical damage. It's the same, but they don't really understand what that is. I'll go, think of that apple that turns brown. That's what's happening on the inside of our body as we age. And I can only imagine how black this apple was right here, right? So think about that. I'm taking something that's reducing that. And I really believe the products that I've been on for 14 years has been what has kept me healthy in a way that I was able to overcome what I had to overcome.
Oh, 100%, right?
Right?
That all helps these tools. So then it's like we all have the different genes. So I'm wondering, do they test your genes as well? Like, do you do DNA testing? Or it's just saying that it works on the gene so they don't mutate?
There's a test called a T-bar test that usually 14 years ago was done in a lab. I've now heard you can get it done with your doctor, but the CRP test that you get with your doctor, it's a C-reactive protein. That is a measurement of inflammation in your body, and you'll see a reduction if somebody's getting on that.
Which is what we got to reduce. I do the what is it? Your biological age test.
Yes, you're probably 10.
You're so funny. I love you. I love the results. I did like the results, and I asked them, well, what is it kind of mostly based on? And it is the inflammation in your body. So these protocols, so it sounds like, the supplements that you're talking about will help keep these cells to kind of be triggered, right? We all have these genetic markers, right? Some people are, my mom had breast cancer, so yes, but if we never really
you can biohack that. Absolutely.
I know. I don't like when people say that. They're like, well, my mom, it's like, no.
It's about 3% of your DNA is inherited. And if you live the same lifestyle that your parents did, if you live the
suppress
same eating,
the same emotions,
right?
Yes.
Right. Then you can absolutely, you can call that hereditary, but you can actually take twins, put them in completely different environments and have completely different results. Right.
Yes.
But really when you're reducing that oxidative stress, you're reducing inflammation. I'm activating my own antioxidant enzymes. And literally when we're bombarded by free radicals, trillions and trillions a day, we need some tools because we're bombarded by this oxidative stress because it is life. If you breathe, you have it. It's the air we breathe, the chemicals in the water.
The EMFs, everything's affecting everything.
The benzine and the gasoline, the jet fuel in the airplane. Over time, it wreaks its havoc on our cells. It's not a disease, but it's linked to the disease processes. So I want to age with vitality. There are people in other countries that live to be 120, right? And the blue zone, you'll hear, they don't eat processed foods. If your food's processed or it's genetically modified, there's all these components here that over time, not today, but it's the little nitpick things over time, and it's going to chip away. It's like the Pac-Man eating the cell. That's what you're looking at, okay? And then all of a sudden, this beautiful, healthy, juicy cell looks shriveled like a banana. That's oxidative stress, a black banana. And then it's whatever you're predispositioned for is what can get exacerbated. But what if you knew of something scientifically proven that could reduce that? I would just say, I brush my teeth every day. I brush my cells every day with this little yellow pill.
I've been doing a lot of cellular kind of boosting myself and my own science projects with even peptides as well. And I've been using the hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
Yes.
I've seen a huge difference with even my kids in their detoxing process for mold, and so bringing oxygen to the
Bringing
body.
oxygen to the body. Even at our yoga studio where I teach Buddha Bella, we have a hyperbaric chamber. We have a red light bed. We have a sauna. We have a cold plunge. And I don't do that one very often.
That's okay. Maybe you're not called to it. For me, the cold plunge was always building that resilience to stress.
Yeah.
I've
done it a few times, and I feel amazing when I get out. I just it's a hard one for me.
It is. Well, I feel like I talked to you forever. Is there, before we kind of end on, is there anything else that we missed that you on your heart to share? Or
I would just say get educated. If dentist is telling you need a root canal, or I don't think they put metals in mouth anymore. I'm sure.
Oh, they still do. Unfortunately, where we see it isn't for pediatric, so kids, because it's a cheaper material, and they're like, well, they're going to lose that tooth.
Oh my!
So that's where we saw it. That's where we see it actually.
So I would just say read Dr. Porter's book AIM. It's a small book. It's a 6th grade read. I mean, seriously, anybody can read it. He wrote it so that it's so simple to understand. It's so engaging. Even one story about a child, you know how sometimes you'll see young men, all of a sudden their chin goes back, right? And it gets really narrow. He showed a picture of this child, looked normal. And then a few years later in adolescence, it didn't really have a chin. And it just looks different, right? Which of course affects self-esteem. What they found is this child, his parents got him a hamster. Parents always, I got my kids lizards, hamsters, gerbils, you name it, like a bearded dragon. So I get that. You want to always expose your children to fun things, right? A rabbit. And then, but what happened, he was allergic to the hamster. And so what he was doing with his tongue, because the tongue is so strong, it shapes the jaw. It shapes the lower jaw. And so just being aware, read that book, because I think it's great for parents to give to their children who decide they want to have children, whether they give them a pacifier, whether they give them, and I gave my kids pacifiers. I had my kids' wisdom teeth taken out. I'm like, oh, now that I know what I know.
Exactly. Exactly. Same here. Same here.
Get the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Then you make the decisions yourself.
Yes. Yeah. And trust your intuition. Yeah.
And trust. And I trust your gut, because I trusted my gut 2 days before surgery with a biological dentist. Something didn't feel right. And I got more information that I believe changed my life and longevity.
I love that. Trust your gut. Yeah. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, sharing your story. I know this will impact so many people and bring them to trust their gut, to ask more questions, and read that book.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.